Now it's time for our second part, which is I shall ask questions about your education. My first question is, what do you think the turning points have been in your life, and how were you like then?
Once I got into engineering school and I felt I was achieving my dream career, and I tried to excel, and I graduated the top of my class in mechanical engineering. And I thought that that's the end of my learning. Little be known to me was that the university was just about to acquire its first computer for use by the faculty and the student. And they ran a course work for anybody who wants to learn about computers. So I went in that course for about 10 months. And I again graduated on this with a diploma in computer science, and I was the top of the class. And during those 10 months, I've seen a completely different world. This was in the 1960s, late 1960s, 1968. And learning about what the computers can do and what can they add to our base of knowledge and our ability to solve problems was amazing to me. I grew up with my dad using an electronic calculating machine. So I learned very early on that I can have the machine work forever if I divide any number by the number 0, and the machine will keep running and calculating, of course, because it has to come up with infinity. And that was a kind of a game one for me and my siblings. When we were very young, we would sneak into my dad's room and run the electrical calculator. And I mean calculator that the one that except it was electrical, so it keep running and running. But when I learned the computer and the languages, the Fortran, the COBOL, the ability to learn languages that were beyond phonetics and talking, it opened up a completely new world for me. And as it turns out, that was a turning point, because I actually left Egypt and went to France to take a diploma in information sciences from the Research Institute of Information and Automation outside of Paris. And after a year, I took what's the equivalent of a master's degree in information science. And this information ability to use the data and use the know-how of the computers to turn these data into knowledge and into actually decision stuck with me until in the year 2005. I was a pioneer in Egypt, and I established a data mining company with the help of United Nations Development Program and the Ministry of Technology and Communication in Egypt. And Garhy was one of our employees there. And we were at the forefront of this technology in Egypt during that time. And obviously, we entered the new world, the use of data to move it to being information, and then move the information to make knowledge out of it, and then take this knowledge and make good decisions for the enterprise. The company is still operating in Egypt, and we have maybe 6 alumni of that company in the US already. Garhy is one of them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My second question is, what did you learn during your academic life that you would like to pass along to the next generation?
2 things. Curiosity is the weapon with which one can use to fight ignorance and conquer knowledge. It's not enough to just learn what's being told, but be curious, be inquisitive, go out there and find out. Of course, nowadays it's easy with things like Wikipedia and Google and all these knowledge-based systems and banks that are around the world. So the job is easier, but the information is much more plentiful. So I learned that go find and learn more than you're being told in your courses or your college or your schools, because knowledge is a weapon. And in the new world that we're entering, it is the most potent weapon for our careers and our life.
Very insightful. Thank you very much. So my another question is, what drew you to your college or university major? If you could do it again, would you take the different academic path?
When I entered the School of Engineering, I was fascinated by space. The US had and Russia had flown astronauts. And so I wanted to be in space. I wanted to go into the Department of Aeronautics in our faculty. But then I thought that would be quite limiting to me, because at the time, industry in Egypt was not advanced to be able to learn and use my knowledge into practice. So I switched to mechanical engineering. If I have to do it again, the only thing I would go take the degree in aeronautics, because it would have been a stronger scientific background when I came to this country to prepare me for the PhD and the research work that I have done since. So that's the only thing I would change. I would still go to engineering. I would still learn the computer. I would still travel to France and to America to get my graduate degrees. I would still take the jobs I took and learn from them and apply my knowledge to advance the technology in those fields.
Perfect. I really understand you very well, because I am very interested in aerospace engineering. So yeah, but I did petroleum. So yeah, thank you very much. But I will try to go at least mechanical engineering a little bit.
Well, the thing about mechanical engineering nowadays is that it's a core education for any field in engineering you go. I mean, even in the oil industry, we're still about maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Garhy later, about 25 to 30% of the petroleum engineering professionals are graduate of mechanical engineering. Equipments are what runs the world. And mechanical engineers design, manufacture, and operate this equipment to efficiency. So it's not a bad education at all. And then, you have to fulfill your dreams.
Exactly. Totally agree. I'm working on it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My first question is, what were some of your extracurricular activities during your education?
One of the things that I pride myself with is that early on in my life, I was mentored quite a bit. And I learned right then and there that mentoring and helping the young to learn and advance is much fulfilling. And one of the bright spots in my career is that I was mentored by extremely generous and bright people. I will come to that when we talk about my career. But when I was starting in this country, I was involved in the activity of young. So when I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, for instance, I was on the Boys and Girls Club board of director in the state of Utah. And that was a organization that basically takes care of taking the kids off the street and providing centers and shelters and places for them to learn, practice sport, and and go to gather in a safe environment. And I enjoyed that. And then I went and became a member of the Utah International Visitors Council, which is an organization that basically welcomes and hosts international visitors from outside of the US that look like promising people and are going to reach high places in their countries. And this organization hosted people like President Sadat of Egypt when he was still a publisher, or other people of that stature. And when I met those people, I also learned from them very quickly that you have to be a giving person to actually get more thrill than being a recipient. And that led me, when I went to ARCO in Dallas, to head the Junior Achievement board for Dallas, and was a mentor to a group of people that learned how to become entrepreneurs and actually made a product and sold the product, and learning how to do business. And we won the Product of the Year award. So we got the Achievement Award from the Junior Achievement in the section of Dallas. And of course, being in ARMA and being a fellow in ARMA, it's an opportunity again to give and to mentor. And believe me, mentorship is what stage I'm in right now. It is the stage of giving, not receiving.
Thank you very much. So my last question for this part is, was there a teacher or teachers who had a particularly strong influence on your life? Like,
yes, when I was young in school, in my high school, I had a math teacher who would, in the beginning, when he wanted any problem solved, I'd raise my hand and select me. And after 1 month, he told me he will never select me again. And I said, "Oh, why?" He said, "Because you don't ever make a mistake. I want people to learn from their mistakes." And but he mentored me. He actually taught me how to think outside the box in math, in life. And he even invited me to the teacher's break room, and he would talk to me during the break about aspects of life. And when I went to college, one of my professors also kind of adopted me. He was a professor of mechanical design. After graduation, he took me as his instructor, teaching assistant, and helped me awful lot in learning about turning my inquisition or inquisity and curiosity into productive research. And then when I came to this country, of course, my school advisor, my PhD advisor, Dr. Rodney Clifton, has been a wonderful mentor and a wonderful supervisor, advisor, and basically an older brother. But there's one person that I never forget his mentorship, and that was Jan Geertsma from Shell, who attended my very first paper in the petroleum conference. It was in Virginia in 1976. It was in a conference, and he came after my talk and he said, "I'm about to retire, and Shell has asked me to use the last 5 years of my career to select my replacement. how do you like to be that? And I was kind of not just taken back, but very surprised and very complimented. And he been my mentor all his life until he passed away. He was in touch with me. He passed project from Shell to the company I worked for. When I worked for TerraTech, he fed me project from. I was almost exclusively working on project for Shell throughout my career at TerraTech because of him. And when I went to the oil industry, he was there. He promoted me with the SV, promoted me with the conference committees and so on. So I do have a big gratitude to mentors, and I am willing, ready, and able to play the role right now and become a mentor.
I understand. Rest in peace to your mentor, by the way. Sometimes we do need mentors who are going to drag us out of our comfort zone. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I was in BP, my wife was working there, and in Egypt, my mom was one of the early people that worked, early women that worked after she finished her education. So I always had great respect for female professionals. And when I was in BP, I was selected by incoming, we call them challengers, that is newly hired engineers. They were all female. I had 3 of them select me as their mentor. And all 3 have done extremely well. And I am very grateful to the experience I had mentoring them, because we went through challenging times in the oil and gas industry. And I can talk about one of my experiences when we come to talk about career in mentoring female engineers in the oil and gas industry. But I am very grateful that I was given this opportunity.
If you would like to talk about this, we would like to hear about it.
When we were working in ARCO, and we had to do some fracking jobs offshore in the offshore in Alaska, one of the things where we would go there, and we had to take our crew with us. So I choose this young female engineer, and I send the list of people that are going to go on the platform, saying that here are the 3 coming: Ahmed Abou-Sayed, Jim Abel, and Erin Uber, and ERIN. And the guy thought the tool pusher. He said, "That's okay. Just let me know so I can arrange for you guys." And we came off the helicopter. And as soon as the 3 of us got off the helicopter, the mic on the platform said, "Would Ahmed Abou-Sayed come to the tool pusher room, please?" And tool pusher in the platform is king. So I go there, and he said, "What the heck you think you're doing?" I said, "Mom, I just got off the helicopter." And he said, "No, you brought a female." And I said, "What's wrong with that?" He said, "You didn't tell me." I said, "I send you the names." He said, "Yeah, Erin can be a man's name." And I said, "Well, guess what? She's not a man." And he said, "I don't have a place for her to sleep." And we were talking in his desk that was in his accommodation room. And I looked there, and there was a single room a single bed in that room. And I said, "Well, I see a single bed here." He said, "You are not kidding, are you? I'm not going to give up my room." I said, "Well, I guess you'll have to take that up with headquarters." And as it turns out, she actually spent 4 days in his room by herself while we all slept in the crew rooms downstairs where there's 3 or 4 people sharing bunk beds and sharing bathrooms and all that. And I've learned very quickly that the industry at the time has a long way to go to accommodate female. Luckily, after that, the industry adapted very quickly, although it took maybe 5 to 6 years before they start having a routine accommodation for females on offshore platforms. And this is history.
Thank you very much for sharing this story with us. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. So it was the end of our part 2. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.